Okay, so welcome along here, everybody. Great to have you on board today for today's webinar. A great webinar on building a personal brand. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Russell Cummings, and I'm a business consultant located here in sunny Queensland, Australia, just out of Bundaberg. And I work with privately owned and family-owned businesses and helping them to achieve their goals. This webinar is also part of a program we've been running with HAL, Horticulture Australia Limited, around it's around a leadership program we've got called Horticulture the Next Generation. So a number of people are registered from that today, so that's all really good. So let's talk about personal branding. I'm finding in today's world we are far more visible than we've ever been, right? And that's through social media, things like Snapchat and videos and those sorts of things. We're so much more visible than we've ever been. And as a result, I'm finding that we need to think more and more about how we present ourselves to the wider community. So as well as focusing on the company brand, we need to start thinking about your personal brand. Now, as I said, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here today, and I'm going to get your feedback. So my first question to you is going to be, why is a personal brand important? So if you're thinking about your personal brand, why do you think it's important? And what do you think it is? Two questions, I guess, but just give me some thoughts. So plug them up into the question area. So why do you think it's important that you focus on your personal brand, or what do you think your personal brand is? You know, what is it? Yeah. So it's all about people's impressions of you, reputation, career aspirations, the image you want to present. That's a great one. You know, it can be about generating respect through honesty and repeat business, and making you stand out from your competitors. Yeah, an identity that people know you for. It matches what you deliver. It allows customers to verify your authenticity. Go on, Cameron. About credibility. That's right. So it's all those things. So it's all about helping us understand that, I guess, how we present ourselves and pitch ourselves in the marketplace. And I think it's really important because, as I said, in today's world, you're so much more visible. So I like to think of the personal brand as really, it's what you're known for. So essentially, it's what people say about you and or your business. But today we're talking about personal branding in particular. So it's about you when you're not around. And so that's the sort of stuff that they might say behind your back, or, those sorts of things. And it's really things like, you're a strategic thinker, or you get things done, or you're innovative, or it could be that you're an energy vampire and you sap energy out of people, So that's a negative brand. So branding is not always positive. So, I think it's important that we focus on it. So why is it important in the context of this? I think to be effective in business, you need to play to your own strengths or your personal brand. And to me, it's often around understanding our strengths, and we're going to talk a fair bit more of that. So another little exercise here. Here are three sort of famous, sort of iconic, either people or logos. And what would you think about each of these people, and are they playing to their strengths? So let's look at Mr. Branson here on the left. Particularly nice photo of Richard, if I do say so. So what? Just type into the question area. What do you see Richard's strengths are? What is his brand? So what's his brand essence? Yeah. So what's the things he's really known for? Energy, innovation, outgoing, out of the box. Yeah, innovator, innovation. He's a people person. He's a really out there personality. Yeah. Wacky, informal innovator. Yeah. I see him as a real risk taker as well. So he's out there. He's a guy who gets things done. Yeah. A good communicator. That's probably important. So, and really an entrepreneur. Yeah. And great point, Cameron. He's really the face of his business. Yeah. Even though he doesn't run the business, he's the face of it all. Personal, brave, all that sort of stuff. So they're all good characteristics for Richard. And I think, if you think about it, I think he does a reasonable job of building on that personal brand. He does all that great stuff about, flying balloons and all those sorts of things around the place. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a really interesting guy. So when you see the Apple logo, I mean it's a company brand again, but what sort of things do you think of when you see Apple? Yeah, point of difference, meeting needs, innovative again. Yeah, visionary. Yeah, market leader, familiar, clean, clear, decisive. Yeah, whole second-rate products. That's a bit nasty. Innovative, reality, quality, cutting edge, innovation, usability, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, good. So often Apple sort of known with being innovative, quality, premium. Even if you don't think they're great quality products, you certainly pay a premium for them. So, and Apple tries hard to live up to those. Okay. Now, Mr. Obama on the right hand side here, President Obama to his friends, about to come out to Brisbane in the next week or so. Yeah. So what do we got here? Mr. Cool, integrity, family values, strong and able. Yep. What else? Yeah. A failed social reformer. Yep. Tall. Excellent. So, I think, Obama's been known to be a great communicator. So he's really well thought of as a great communicator or orator. Yeah, plausible. Somebody, a great but misunderstood leader. All those sort of things. Certainly been given that label of not being able to make the tough decisions, so not being strong enough and that sort of stuff. So lots of mixed decisions about Obama, and his spin doctors probably haven't done the greatest of good in helping him get there. So if you think about it, these people have a brand and they sort of do to it. So I guess the key thing is, how do you play to your strengths? So developing a brand for yourself is all about playing to your strengths. And same in business. You don't build a brand around your weaknesses. You build a brand around your strengths. So one of the first things we need to do is think about what are your strengths. And I guess there's a couple of ways to do this. And I guess the first thing we need to do is we need to, in some way, brainstorm our strengths, all right, and think about what they might be. Now, here's some ones we've given you here, but you might like to go and put some others in here. These are just an example. But so the first thing we need to do is brainstorm what do we see as our strengths. Now, you can mind map that. You can ask your spouse or partner. They might give you some good feedback on what your strengths really are. You can certainly ask people that you trust around that, and that's a great thing. So a couple of ways that you can actually get some objective information on your strengths. You can use some personality profiling. So you might use, DISC or Strengths Finder or Harrison Assessments, which I sort of use. Some of those sorts of things to understand what your real strengths are as an individual, so you can focus on those. So a lot of those programs are free or minimal cost, and well worth having a look at. You can just do a simple mind map of your strengths. So you can actually just sit down and say, well, what are my strengths? And just mind map them, take a bit of time to think about it and think objectively about yourself. My experience is, if you're getting too carried away and you've got, 5 to 10, more than sort of 5 or 6 strengths, you're probably getting a bit carried away with excitement, and they're not your real strengths. But brainstorm some strengths, that's a good thing. A great exercise is you've got colleagues, and we did this with a group of guys at Mind Shop a while ago. It was a fantastic experience. So what we did was we got some sticky labels. So everybody had a string of sticky labels, and we had a manila folder. And what we asked everybody to do was walk around, grab somebody else's folder, and write on a sticker what you saw as their key strength. And you put that strength in their folder and gave it back to them, and then you did that for everybody. At the end of that, we each had a manila folder with a whole heap of stickers in it from people that we knew and respected, who gave us some fantastic feedback on what our strengths were. I've still got mine here in the office, and I pull out and have a look at it every now and then, because it's really interesting to look at how other people perceive you and what they see your strengths as. So there's some different tools there. Now, once you've brainstormed your list of strengths, then I think you probably need to winnow the list down a little bit and have a think about it. And you can use sort of this sort of ranking methodology. So we call it an issue ranking methodology, but you can use this to rank your strengths, to put some sort of priority around them. Here we've used sort of 3 factors. So, you rate each of these strengths, so communication skills, leadership skills, whatever, we've suggested out of 10, and you might rank them on, and it doesn't matter what the criteria are as long as you're in agreement that they're going to help you to identify your strengths, but it might be impact on the profitability of your business or on the happiness of your life or something else. It could be your current ability in that area, and the last one could be the fit with your personal vision and where you want to go with life. So, score each of those, pick the one with the largest total. So in this case, we've said relationship with customers, and that's your primary strength. But my suggestion is you pick, 3 or 4 key strengths that you want to focus on to start building your brand around. Okay, so that's the sort of first step is let's think about my strengths. So you can use some objective tools like personality profiling. You can ask other people. You can brainstorm them yourselves. But in some way, you need to come up with a list of your strengths and start from there. Now, once you've got some strengths sorted and you've winnowed them down, then I like to start building a brand around what we call a personal brand proposition or a personal value proposition. Now, this is taken from the book The Balanced Scorecard by 2 enterprising Harvard business professors, Kaplan and Norton, and really quite a great book. And it's about value proposition. Now, it's normally applied to businesses, but I found we can apply it at a personal level, which is a great way to use it. Now, what we do at a personal level, well, I'll explain the value proposition model to you first. So the value proposition model says that when we look at value and we look at the value that people put in, either inject to us or business provide to us, it's about a couple of things. The attributes of their products and services. So if we're talking about a business, it's the attributes of the products and services. It's the image they project in the marketplace, and then the quality of the relationship that they build for you. Now, I like cars, so I often use cars as an example here when we're doing this with businesses. But if you think about BMW, got a number of attributes around sportiness and handling and safety and engineering design and luxury and that sort of stuff, right? So that's the key attributes. The image they want to project is an image of, prestige and, luxury, exclusiveness, that sort of stuff, and then or sportiness, and then the relationship they want to have, they actually think about the relationship and they strive to build relationships with their owners by inviting them to events and magazines and drive days and all that sort of stuff. Often you've got to pay for all those things, but they try and build a stronger relationship with you. You weigh up all those things when you go and buy a BMW to say whether it's worthwhile, it's worth value. So they're the things you weigh up to decide whether the value is the right thing for you. Now, you could equally apply this to, Toyota or Hyundai or other great car things, and they will have different attributes, different images, different relationship characteristics that will give you a different value proposition. And at the end of the day, you weigh up whether you want to, spend $40,000 on a Toyota or $100,000 on a BMW, and people weigh up those choices. Now, when you're using this for yourself and personal branding, I tend to plug, in terms of attributes, this is where I plug in the strengths. Okay, so what we'd normally do is brainstorm 3 or 4 keywords. So what I get people to do, brainstorm 3 or 4 keywords that are descriptive of the attributes or descriptive of your strengths. So for example, we might have said, our attributes were we're a great communicator, we've got a strong skill set, we're a people person, and we've got great experience. So I might say they're our strengths. They're the 4 words. So 3 or 4 words is about all you want. If you get too many more than that, you're probably not being decisive enough. You do the same thing for image and also relationship. And so in this case, I've said, in terms of an image, you might want to be knowledgeable, trusted and caring, and the relationship could be long-term, reliable, and win-win. So they're the characteristics that you want to be known for that are going to help you build your personal brand. Okay, so we're going to build those sorts of things. Now, once we've got those sort of 10 sort of words mapped out, that can be less, but not too many more, that define, I guess, the key elements of our brand that we want to take to market, then what I get people to do is to define each of those words. So caring we might define, or you might define, as respecting the needs of others. Okay, and I just get people to use a short, concise statement that means something to you, that describes that word in the context that you've used it in your brand. Okay, so you say caring, respecting the needs of others, knowledgeable, you might you'll have to define what that means. The reason for defining it is because often words mean different things to people, and it's important that you get some clarity around what it is you really mean by that word. Okay. So once you've sort of got these sort of statements together, then you've got I guess, a really good overview of the brand you want to take to marketplace. And if you think about this person, they want to be a great communicator, want to be known as a great communicator with a strong skill set. They're a people person. They want to be seen as experienced and knowledgeable, trusted, caring, long-term, building long-term relationships, that they're reliable and they focus on win-win. So they focus on value for everybody. So for me, that's a great brand to start building. And what I often get people to do is then say, well, let's summarize that down. So if you had to pick, 3 or 4 of the words out of that and put it into some sort of sentence or some sort of statement about your brand, what would your brand statement be? And it might be something like, a caring, dynamic change agent. So you start to build that brand around that. Now, guess what I'm going to get you to do? I'm going to get you to take a couple of minutes, and I want you to just take a second or two and just pick one of these elements, or you can either pick one of these elements and write 3 or 4 words, or you can write a word for each of the 3 elements. But I want you to take just a minute or two and think about, I guess, the key words that you want to define you in each of these areas. So don't forget, attributes is about strengths. So what are your strengths? So put down one thing that you think is a key strength, one image, one word that defines part of the image you want to project, and another word that defines part of the relationship that you want to engender with people that you meet and interact with in your business. All right, we'll just take a couple of minutes there. Now, once you've started to get some words and you've had a bit of thought about it, you might type some of them up in the questionnaire and just let me know the sort of words that you're coming out with. Can often help other people as well come up with some good ideas for their brand. All right, so just take a couple of minutes to work on that. To complete the exercise, please press pause, and then when you finish the exercise, just press play to start the video again. Yeah, so we've got here, people person, understands the needs of all shareholders. Yeah. Provide good customer service. Yeah. Yeah, so some of the attributes: a communicator, interested, caring, all good words. What else we got here? Trustworthy, caring, knowledgeable information. Yeah. You start to map out these things. You start to build a really good picture of the sort of person that you want to be seen as in the marketplace. So remember, this is about a couple of things. Your strengths are about your internal things, but your image is how you project yourself in the marketplace and what you want to be seen as, and then your relationship is how you relate to and interact with other people. So it's really good sort of thing. So so time response to customer needs, manage, supportive, guide others to be their best. In terms of image, we've got comfortable, knowledgeable, skills, and trusted. Professional image. The important one there is often when I do this, people put up professional, and I get why they do it, because it means different things to different people. It's really important that you define what it is you mean by professional, because I've heard it used from everything from prostitutes through to lawyers, regarded as professionals in some way. So you want to be clear on what the image is you want to have around that, and I'm not going to say which way you want to go. All right, so trusted, a proven record for delivering results for all. Excellent. Innovative problem solver who cares enough to meet my customer needs. So that's a great brand statement. Okay, so I think you get the needs of it. So get the thing. So great stuff. Thank you for participating in that there. What I'd suggest you do now, and a really interesting part of the exercise, is to take each of those sort of 10 words that you've got and do a little gap analysis on yourself. All right, so take the time to say, for this particular characteristic, it might be great well, let's look, the example was, great communicator, strong skill set, that sort of stuff. For each of those, my suggestion is that you that you score yourself on two factors, and you say, right, where am I now in terms of this attribute or this particular element? So where am I now? And then where do I need to be? So if you score them out of 10, or you can use, if you want to be fancy, you can use a -5 to +5 scale, but let's just say you use 10 for a start. So you can say, right, where am I now? So in terms of being a people person, I might rate myself a 6. Where do I need to be? I might say, well, I really need to be an 8 or a 9. Now, just remember, we don't need to be perfect at everything we do, so not everything has to be a 10. Certainly not in the short term. So don't be sort of fooled into thinking that everything has to be a 10, and you know that. It's really about thinking about, I guess, the elements that make sense for you and where the gaps are for you. Once you've got the gaps, then you can think about, well, what can I do to bridge the gap, and what are the actions I can take in order to fill that gap. All right. So if you understand, so you use it as a simple tool, and just pick the top the 3 or 4 biggest gaps and work on those first. All right, so that's a fairly simple way to come up with a simple brand statement. So you start to think about it. I think Colin's raised a really interesting point. The best point of this is it just gets you thinking about what you want to do and what you want to take to market. The specifics of what you come up with aren't necessarily that important, I don't believe. All right, so the next thing then, if you want to take it a bit further, is you can always use a tool like strategic SWOT. And we use strategic SWOT to develop strategies for businesses and those sorts of things, and in businesses, organizations, as part of a strategic planning process. And that's all well and good, but you can also use it at a personal level. So the thing I love about a tool like strategic SWOT is you can use it at a business level, at a departmental level, at a team level. You can use it on yourself. You can use it on your family. You can do what you need to do. Wouldn't advise using on your spouse. Not a great use, but use it on yourself first. All right. So for those of you with access to our MindShop online toolbox, there's a great video, all that sort of stuff in how to actually make this happen for you. So that's all in the toolbox. But for those who don't, I'll give you a quick run through of how to develop a personal strategic SWOT. So the first things we need to do, and we need to brainstorm our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. Now, it's really important that we pick the strategic strengths and the strategic weaknesses. So think about those sorts of things and what you need to do. And just think about, in terms of strengths, what are my core strengths? And you might get these from a personality profile. The weaknesses you might also get from a profile, but you may also ask other people to help you out in these areas. But brainstorm your strengths and your weaknesses. My rule of thumb is if you get more than about 6 or 7, you're really starting to not be strategic about what are your real strengths and your real weaknesses. So use those and focus on those. On the left-hand side here, we've got opportunities and threats. So what the big mistake here is that we actually just put we put in the I guess the opportunities and threats, but what I really want you to put in here is the external factors that are acting upon you and your career. And they can be things like, the baby boomer exodus out of the workforce, integration of, IT and mobile technology, all those sorts of things. And a mining boom, other things. It will depend on you and your career, but think of what those opportunities are and think what those threats may be. And remember, they're the factors acting upon you, because the next thing we're going to do is, by using the questions at the top of the page there, so how can I use these strengths to commercialize or to take advantage of these opportunities? How can I use these strengths to overcome these threats? Those sort of things. If we answer those questions, and we answer them by creating an action statement. So for me, an action statement is something that starts with a doing word, starts with a verb, right? So create, develop, enhance, finish, upgrade, all those sort of things. So the examples there I've said is, right, if you look at this here, you might say, righto, well, some of the actions I need to take, I need to develop a personal career plan. And when am I going to do that by? By this date. I need to finish my MBA. I need to upgrade my technology skills. So think about all the things you need to do to take advantage of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, so you can pick it up. You should end up with about 12 to sort of 24 actions that you come up with. From those, select the priority actions, and you might use some of the issue ranking tools and stuff we've talked about, and then you can create a one-page plan. Now, for those of you not familiar with a one-page plan, it's a fabulous tool that we use all the time. There should be a copy of one in your workbook, so there's a template there for you to get your head around. Now, a one-page plan is really quite simple, and this one's based on a business example, but the personal one is just the same. So what you do is you'd say, where am I now? So define the now. So where are you now? Define where you want to be in the future. So you then map that out and say, right, where am I now? Where do I want to be in the future? The strategies that you come up with. So the strategies will come out of that personal value proposition exercise we did. Remember, I asked you to do a gap analysis. So where am I now? Where do I need to be? Where are the gaps? What are the actions I need to take to fill those gaps? And all from your SWOT. So if you've done a SWOT analysis as well, this will give you a whole heap of actions that you're going to group up and plug into this plan. All right, so you might end up with 3 or 4 things you're going to focus on, 3 or 4 actions that you're going to take under each of those strategies. You might put some timing. The who is normally going to be you, but also need to put some time frames on them. For those of you, again, with access to the Resource Center, you can have a look at our problem-solving routine there to help you get some action plans and things together. So the 4-step problem-solving routine is a great routine there to help you do that. But you can use mind mapping and other tools to help you do that. All right, so that's a quick burst on developing a personal brand. I guess the key elements are define what it is that you want to be known for. So build your brand around your strengths. So use some tools or some feedback or some brainstorming to define your strengths. So what are your strengths? Build them and use them to help then create your personal value proposition or your personal brand statement, where you start to say, righto, so what are my key strengths? What's the image I want to project into the marketplace? And then lastly, how do I want to build relationships? Because your business and your life is a function of the quality of the relationships that you have. So think about the relationships. Come up with 3 or 4 keywords that define each of those areas for you. Give them a better definition. So take the time to define what you mean by integrity or honesty or knowledgeable or professional. Take the time to define those. If you want to, summarize it into a brand statement. A knowledgeable leader or whatever it is. So, use it to build a bit of a brand statement for yourself. That's the first start of your brand. Then do your gap analysis. So map out a bit of a gap analysis and say, where am I now? Where do I need to be? Which one of these has the biggest gaps? What actions am I going to take to fill those gaps? And then lastly, you might say, well, I might want to take it a bit further and develop a whole personal plan. So if I'm going to take that personal plan to help me grow my brand and develop my brand, strategic SWOT is a great tool to help you use that. So drive the strategic SWOT, summarize it all into a one-page plan, stick your one-page plan to the wall or the bathroom or the shower or wherever you happen to be and see it regularly, and tick it off and make sure that you're working to help grow your brand in the marketplace. Okay, so thanks very much for that. So if you we're going to, as I mentioned, we're going to send out some more resources for you. So we'll send you a link to copies of today's PowerPoint, plus this video. So we recorded this webinar, plus any other resources that I've talked about. That'll come out over the next few days. So if you've registered, that will be emailed to you automatically. You can also visit my website, sbdbusiness.com.au, and register for our free newsletter. Participate in our webinar programs. You're on one now, obviously. Read the blogs or watch the videos. There's a whole heap of stuff there. If you're involved in horticulture, you can go to horticulture-nextgeneration.com.au and do the same thing. So there's a lot of stuff there with a horticultural focus, which is good. Now, I work closely with businesses, and when I work with businesses, I guess there's a couple of things. I work really closely with them to, develop a tailored solution. So I don't believe in off-the-shelf stuff. I think you have to think about a tailored solution to meet your specific needs. For me, that's around 3 elements: about coaching support, it's about group interaction with like-minded individuals, and it's about access to online resources that you can use to help you grow your business. And I mentioned some of that stuff with the Resource Center. All services I offer are an agreed fixed price, and I can tailor a program for people from as little as $300 per month for our virtual coaching service. So hopefully we can build something that will meet your needs and meet your budget. If you're interested, the next step really is just send me an email, a text message, or pick up the phone and have a hookup, and let's see if I can add some value in your business. No obligation. Happy to have a chat with you and see if I'm a good fit between you and your business. Now, in terms of webinars, our next webinars are a horticultural focused one, so for the horticultural industry, and it's going to cover the top 5 trends in Australian horticulture. That's on Tuesday, 2nd of December, 2014. Okay, so thank you very much. We'll leave it there unless you've got some questions. If you have any questions, please plug them into the questionnaire. I'm happy to help you. If not, I look forward to seeing you in another webinar in the future.